Just a little warning, there is doll nudity in this video, and if you are new to this channel and you love dolls, be sure to hit the subscribe button because 80% of this channel's content is around my doll collection and a little bit of my doll face-up journey. So I am an absolute beginner when it comes to doll face-ups. I've only done about 5 or 6, and they were all on Pullip dolls. Rainbow High Doll has a lot of a smaller face, and then you've got Barbie and Monster High, and I'm just so scared to get into that. I ended up covering their eyes, which I regretted after because one of the girls got sealant on her eyes, ended up having to seal her eyes and then paint over her eyes and draw new eyes in. And that was new for me, to draw new eyes on a doll. It was very daunting and scary, and I'm not completely satisfied with how these girls turned out. One of them I actually quite like, but I think I can do better. So I think I'm going to end up erasing these girls altogether. But it was a good learning experience, a huge learning curve, and my main takeaway with doing doll face-ups is really just not to rush it. I don't have my son on the weekends, so I thought I could just hammer out these 3 girls on a weekend, but it did get a little bit more crazy because I got ambitious and I started making some garments for them. So I made this doll cape, and I watched this tutorial on YouTube, but I didn't reference it because I was using my phone to record the content. And I wish that I had, because I didn't measure and I was just kind of free cutting. Some of the panels weren't long enough and I ended up having to add fabric, but it was fairly simple. Cut 8 right angled triangles and sew them all together. Make sure you've got, you know, the interior on the interior, the exterior on the exterior. You don't want like the panels to be sewn incorrectly. And I'm new at sewing with the sewing machine, so just was patient with making sure I'm, you know, doing that backward stitch and not having any of my stitches come undone. So you do a backward stitch and then you sew over that backward stitch. But I ended up not threading my bobbin enough twice, so make sure you have a really full bobbin if you're starting out with sewing like me. And I couldn't control the speed of the pedal at times, so sometimes I just hand stitched the fabric, and sometimes I hand stitched the fabric with the turning wheel when it got really thick. But yeah, it was really easy. I just worked from the middle all the way out, making kind of this half circle because it is a robe or a cape, and it's meant to wrap around the doll's body. And this was just extra fabric that I had sitting around. I had used it so many times as a backdrop in my crystal shop, so it really was just sitting there. I ended up adding fabric to the bottom because it just wasn't long enough, but then I didn't add enough fabric, so I ended up having to cut more fabric and add it to the part of the bottom that was missing fabric. So I added on this little cuff, and it turned out okay. It all turned out okay, but I know for sure that I can do better. So I didn't really make a tutorial on this because I'm not an expert, but I did want to show you that it is something that I, you know, tried my hand at, and it's not scary. You can definitely get into sewing if you love doing face-ups and you love making stuff for your dolls in general. I got this sewing machine actually at the thrift store for such a fair price, and my girlfriend said it is a really good sewing machine because it's industrial and it's pure metal and it's old school. So there's the hood. I also just kind of winged the hood as well, and yeah, it turned out okay. I might end up just donating the cape or maybe giving it away because, again, I think that I can do better. But another big mistake that I made with this face-up journey was watercolor pencils are water soluble. So here I am drawing in these eyes, and I ended up using the high gloss varnish before sealing the watercolor pencil, and then it all just like ran together. Another thing that I ran into was because I covered the eyes, I couldn't really clean off the black eyeliner completely. So these girls ended up getting really thick black eyeliner. Here are two of the girls, and the final girl, her high gloss varnish is just drying on her eyes. I ended up painting over her eyes because of that whole high gloss varnish mess up, and here she is with her new red eyes. Now, I did put glitter near her eyebrow because there was a little bit of a mistake there that I wanted to cover up, and it didn't really make sense, but then I thought it could be like glitter blood that she was smearing on her face, so I added a little bit of that glitter blood dripping down from her mouth, and she's kind of cool, but her eyes kind of freak me out. I do think that they look amateur, so yeah, I'm probably gonna erase this girl. Here is the end result of these three girls. I did them over a weekend, so this is what it looks like when you rush your face up. Personally, I think that the girl on the far right, her eyebrows are a little wormish, too much black eyeliner, and I wish I would have cleaned their faces just more thoroughly around the eyes. I think that it's much easier to clean the eyes more thoroughly when you pop the eyes out. I don't really like that I colored over the eyes and then drew them in. This is unfiltered, unedited, with super bright light, all of the little flaws. But otherwise, it was a good learning experience. Drop in the comments below. Tell me what you think.